So when it comes to the upcoming holiday releases for the Nintendo Switch, as far as exclusive titles are concerned, everyone pretty much has their eyes locked on Super Mario RPG, a remaster of the original Super Nintendo RPG developed by Nintendo and Squaresoft in tandem that puts Mario on an all-new style of adventure, and it's a game that really resonates with people. People absolutely love this game, but then you have people like me. I've never played this game. Like, I don't really know much about this game. If anything, I know Nintendo and Square did it together. I know there's a character named Geno in the game that everyone always wants this character in Smash for whatever reason. I know there's sort of a questionable scene where Peach has something in her bedroom that could be insinuated as something a bit naughty. But beyond that, I don't know anything about this game. So I'm super interested in checking it out and playing it for the first time. But of course, a couple of days ago, I made a video about a certain website conglomeration of different reviews called Metacritic, and I was pretty harsh on Metacritic and just sort of talking about why I feel like it's not a very viable option when people are trying to get review scores, and more importantly, people are putting way too much stock into Metacritic as the be-all end-all for if a game is good or not without actually experiencing it. But I want to practice what I preach, because the Metacritic scores went up today for Super Mario RPG a little bit lower than I was really anticipating for this amazing Super Nintendo RPG, a timeless classic that's getting a new coat of paint and some quality of life features. I would have expected a little bit higher than what we're sitting at currently, which is an 83. So we're going to check out some of the reviews for this game, and I'm going to kind of use this video as a way to sort of strengthen my original Metacritic video as to why it's not the be-all end-all. So, but before we get into all of that fun stuff, I'm going to give a huge thank you to today's video sponsor, Atlus. Today's video is sponsored by Atlus and their upcoming game, Persona 5 Tactica. Are you ready for the ultimate gaming experience? Introducing Persona 5 Tactica, the thrilling tactical RPG that will immerse you in the world of shadows and personas like never before. Whether you're a fan of the Persona series or a newcomer to the world of shadows, Persona 5 Tactica offers an experience like no other. Dive into the metaverse, uncover hidden truths, and prove your strategic prowess in exhilarating tactical-based battles. Persona 5 Tactica will be releasing on November 17th for the Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Windows PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. So no matter where you play video games, Persona 5 Tactica will be available to you. So get ready to unleash your inner Phantom Thief and rewrite the rules of tactical RPGs with Persona 5 Tactica. And a huge thank you to Atlus Games for sponsoring today's video. Alrighty, so here we are on Metacritic, 83 based on 73 reviews. And you know, as someone who understands how Metacritic work, I'm obviously not going to look at this the same way a lot of other people would. But if I'm an outsider and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, Metroid Prime Remastered, that game was like in the 90s, and Metacritic, that wasn't even nominated for Game of the Year, which that's a whole nother topic for another day. Why can't a remaster be in there, but a remake can, when a remake has the groundwork essentially already planned out? But whatever, that's neither here nor there. But that game scored very well. Why is this game a little bit on the low side here? You know, if this was an Xbox game or a PlayStation 5 exclusive game, you know, the Nintendo's would kind of be out there in full force, you know, yelling about it, complaining about it. So we, of course, are going to have some 100s. We're going to have some scores that are going to be all over the place because of the genre itself. The RPG genre definitely lends itself more so to kind of split decisions, because certain people like certain styles of RPGs where other people like other styles, you know, strategy RPGs versus turn-based versus action. Like, there's a whole wealth of these things. So we got Player 2, Nintendo's. So they're the only one who gave the game a perfect score. Super Mario RPG is a delightful remake of an underappreciated classic. That's a bit of a stretch considering how much people always talk about this game, that will thrill new and old fans alike. It is filled with wonder, whimsy, and wit, and respects its origins while easily carving a new place, I should say, in Nintendo's current lineup. I would have used the word path. Then we have Nintendo, Stevior, Atomics, like some of these websites, like I've never heard of these websites, and I'm just impressed that they managed to get games from Nintendo but I don't. And people say that I'm a Nintendo YouTuber. How am I a Nintendo YouTuber? I don't get nothing from these people. So Nintendo Life, Super Mario RPG is here in all of its weird, wonderful glory for a new generation to experience and sets a new standard for how to do a faithful remake right. So is it a remake or a remaster? Because like that's a whole nother conversation that we can have about this game, delivering a beautiful, preserved, a pure experience for fans of the original and an accessible entry point for game newcomers. Okay, this game's great. You know, it's a direct and loving update of an old classic with some funny little twists. It's not exactly a deep story, of course, but there's a reason it still has so many fans. This is now the best way to play it. I think that's a good assessment here because we're taking it as what it is. You know, we're not trying to put it on this additional pedestal as a remake. Like, we have to be careful with the words that we use here. So lots of 9s, you know, pretty impressive stuff here, but it's sitting at an 83. So I kind of want to know like where there's a little bit of a disconnect. Why is this National Public Radio? There's no way that this is National Public Radio. We're going to click this just because I am so interested if this is, I think it is. I think this is like, why do they have games? Well, let's check out some of the sort of lower scores on this because we got to get, you know, you can't just take the good. You got to look at the bad with this as well. See what some people maybe didn't like about this. Comicbook.com, they usually like to, you know, put a little higher score on stuff. IGN coming in with an 8. Interesting. Let's get to the good stuff, though. Let's get to the lower scores here. Oh, 60. Oh, people are going to be, if you attack people over their review scores, you're a weirdo and you're a problem with Metacritic. Like, shut up. As long as the words match the content, like it's not a hard concept, even though I think I've attacked a guy before on Twitter, but you know, it's just jokes. Even with some necessary changes, Super Mario RPG remains one of the plumber's most charming and eccentric adventures. The remake faithfully maintains its quirkiness. Like, I think like this kind of proves my point is that, you know, this is probably a 3 out of 5. So this gets considered as a lower score than if somebody were to give the game, you know, an 8 out of 10 or something like that. So now we're bringing it down. The price is off-putting, but beyond that, this is a breezy and charming adventure that is perfect for RPG neophytes. So Metro Game Central feels like, you know, this should have been a more budget entry game considering the amount of work that was put into it. You know, essentially saying, hey, it's the same game. It's got a little bit more of a coat of paint, and evidently there's an optional boss battle as well, but it's the same game at its core. So, you know, remake is more of a one-to-one remaster than a true remake. Okay, there's nothing inherently wrong with this new version, but the game's design flaws and problems are more apparent. So once again, we have the whole remaster remake thing. It's now breaking Metacritic and everyone's all over the place with it. And what does all of this say? What does this 83 for Super Mario RPG say? Absolutely nothing. It's just a bunch of people's differentiating opinions from websites that maybe shouldn't be talking about games or that use a different sort of scoring system that I didn't even really talk about in my other Metacritic video, but this is a perfect example of it, to where sometimes games get a bit snubbed because they use a lower score, like only a 1 to 5 instead of a 1 to 10, that allows a bit more diversity and a bit more flexibility with this. Does this deter me wanting to pick up this game on day one and play it on day one? No, not at all. But for some people it will. And for some people this is going to be an argumentative point, like, oh, well, there's better RPGs out there. There's better this, that, or the other. And it's just, I don't know, man. I just thought this was a perfect example of how Metacritic can create a narrative without realizing it's creating a narrative. You know, as a platform, as a reference source, it's okay. You know, don't use it as your be all end all, but as just a reference point to look up stuff, it's okay. Just don't hark so much on the main score of it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. That shouldn't deter you from enjoying a game, or you feel that a game should have gotten a higher score. It's okay. You know, it doesn't, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing anyone can do about it. So no, seriously, I'm not playing Super Mario RPG in 83. That's trash, man. That's trash. Game's trash, man. Game's trash. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comments section down below, though. Do you think that this is a good sort of companion to my Metacritic video, and I kind of explain more so why I feel that Metacritic is just very dangerous for the video game industry? If you missed that video, make sure you guys go check it out, because I kind of break down why I feel that Metacritic has all these problems, and I feel like this is a good example of kind of exemplifying that. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I want to give a huge thank you to Atlus for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you click the link in the description box down below, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.